and welcome. My name is Kat and this is Mini Maysie Makes. So for the today's Thursday, and for the last week, I've been pretty wiped out. Last Friday we were out for a family occasion, and then the weekend not much has happened, so I've hardly done any recording this week. So I'm gonna try and do as much as I can today, just to give you an idea of what's going on and what's going on in my head and what I'm planning on doing. And I've got the sewing bug. I am desperate to get some stuff sewn up. So I finished quilting up the Elephant Parade quilt. It's looking great. I've got to decide what I'm going to do on the binding, so the very edge of the quilt. I'm thinking something, well, I was thinking something green. Then I couldn't get the green that I wanted when I went to the fabric store yesterday. So I'm now thinking perhaps something blue. I just want it to be relatively neutral. Blue would be nice, I think, maybe a palish blue. I've got a couple of blues. I've got quite a few different colour blues. So I'm thinking maybe a lighter blue round it. It's cream, the quilt. The elephants are grey. There's a green frog, a green turtle, and then there's a yellow bird, I think, and a pink bird, and a purple and a white flower and an orange flower, I think. So there's lots of really different colours. I don't have any blue, so I was thinking maybe the blue might be quite nice. Plus it could be sort of like a sky sort of edge. That's what I'm thinking. So I've got a plan. I've got to finish that, and then I'm just really desperate to start a new quilt. And normally I'm not like this. Normally I would finish the quilts I've already started. So I've finished the quilt top for the teapot, the Tilda teapot quilt. And normally, because I've just finished quilting one quilt, I'll go in and finish quilt the other one. But I don't know what it is. I just really, really want to be making something else. So I'm going to cut up some fabric, I think, today to get the a new quilt done. I've got 2 new patterns from Fresh Quilts. I keep all of my patterns in a plastic folder with all the different quilt patterns in here. There's loads and loads, because I print them all off. It's much easier to follow. I used to follow them directly straight off the screen. It's just too complicated. That was my dog sneezing. Sorry. So I'm thinking I might randomly do this quilt. So it's a wiener quilt. So yeah, I've got the fabric to do it, and it keeps calling me. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. So yeah, that's one of the plans. I also have an urge to do some sort of smaller items as well. So I have this bit of quilted fabric. It's just a play around piece, and so I've been working, maybe I could make like little pod pouches, you know, so keep your iPods in, or that sort of thing. Oh, sorry. Charles. That was my dog knocking the tripod, because of course. So yeah, so I'm gonna try that, and then yeah, we'll see how we get on. First of all though, I think I best let my little dog out, so I'll be back 1 minute. Sorry about that. So I'm back. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking to do, is hopefully maybe start cutting up the fabric for this one, because I don't think it's going to take very long to make, and I just really want to make it. So that's my task for today, I think. Also, I wanted to show you this. Look. Isn't that adorable? Gosh, I love it. So yesterday when I went to the fabric shop, I went to the charity bookshop and had a little look round, and then I went next door to the charity shop, Demelza, and I thought I'll have a little look at the books there as well. And on my way walking out, this little love was literally staring at me off a shelf, and I was like, I have to have you. So £2 later. I love it. I'm just so happy with it. It's just really, I've been not 100% for the, I don't know, week or so, maybe longer. And so it just really brought a smile to my face. So yeah, really happy about my little bird. So he's gonna go, she, I think. I think she's a she. What do you think? She? He? I think she. Very pretty, regardless. But yeah, I think she is gonna go over on my computer next to my screen, so I can always look at her because she's pretty and I like her. So yeah, so it's a complete sideline. So yeah, so I'm going to try and cut some of this fabric today, and I think I'm going to play around with making these pod cases. I think this is going to be a little bit too small, this size. I mean, it's literally just a piece that I had spare, so I just thought, oh, I'll play around with sizes. So this is my partner's little earpod thing, so this seems to be the same size as the iPod one, so I'm just going to make them just a wee bit bigger, just in case the sizes change. I mean, they change all the time, these gadgets. So yeah, so I'm just going to make it a little bit bigger. I think I'm going to do a little, I have press studs, so I think I'm going to do a little press stud on it. Yeah, so I'm going to play around with that and see if I can do a little thing, and I've got little hooks so you can clip it either to your keys or in your bag or whatever. So yeah, I think I also want to do that. So some cutting some fabric, some playing around with this, yeah, and we'll see how we get on. It's going to be a mishmash of stuff today. It's already literally 12 o'clock, so I am so behind on today. I had a lot of cleaning stuff to do, had a little dog to care for, and he's not here tomorrow. He's out at the vet tomorrow. So yeah, so we've had lots of stuff to sort out today. So yeah, I best quit cracking and doing some actual work. I've done my other business this morning, but this business I need to be cracking on with, because yesterday I signed up for the Kent County show again this year, so I paid the deposit for that. So yeah, I'm desperate to make some stuff. I've got to make so many bits and pieces. Yeah, I've also got to try and work out some of the plans with my setup for this year's event, and not just this year's event, but all of the events. Like if I'm just using one table, I feel like I need to sort out. I mean, the most recent one that I did is one table and a shelf unit, and I want to work it out where if I can't take the shelf unit, how do I get most visibility on my stuff, because I have a lot of stuff and I want to be able to take as much as possible but not overcrowd everything, and it's really hard to know what you shouldn't take, and I think sorting out the displays a little bit better. I'm thinking of doing some sort of stand for my pegboards to stand on, and then so there's space underneath for other bits, because that's the problem. You can't really if you put the pegboards down on the table, you can't put too much in front of it because you can't see the bottom row of scrunchies. It's just, yeah, it just doesn't work quite right. So that's another thing I need to sort out at some point as well. So I'm saying this here to remind myself that I have to do that too. Been working on the website this week as well, so that will be up shortly, I think. But yeah, I need to really start cracking on with some stuff because I'm really behind, and I'm going away for a week, or nearly a week, with my best friends for my friend's birthday, and we're taking our little kids and we're off to Disneyland Paris, so that's going to be good fun. Yeah, I'm hoping to make it to the Marvel section, though I'm not sure the princess loving little one will be overly impressed. Maybe if there's, you know, Princess Shuri, might be nice to see her there. We'll see, maybe I can swing it that way. But yeah, so lots and lots of things happening, but I'm just so behind on making quilts and bits and pieces. I also need to start literally batch sewing as many scrunchies as possible. I like to have as many as possible because I don't want the stress of, oh my god, I've got none left, of anything. So I just want to just make all of the stuff, cut up all of my fabrics that I have allocated for those scrunchies, and then just crack on. So we'll see. Anyway, let's try and get some fabric sorted, so we can do this and try and play around a little bit with these little bits too. I'll see you on the other side. So I currently have a standard foot on my machine, which is this. And that's just the standard foot that comes with all sewing machines. And I'm adding the patchwork foot, which shows me a little bit easier where the 1/4 inch is. So that's along the side, depending on which side you're doing. But yeah, it's normally along the side is the 1/4 inch, and that's where the very edge of your fabric will run. Here the sewing needle goes, and that's what's sewing your perfect 1/4 inch. So as long as you keep your fabric butted up against here, then you should always have a 1/4 inch seam every time. And I always run my machine quickly I set the settings to size 2 for a standard stitch line, and then I usually run just a leader through. We call them leaders. It's literally a piece of fabric that has been through the wars, and you literally put it through your sewing machine, and you make sure that you have a perfect line, because what you don't want is for it to be, you might have a problem with your bobbin, you may have a problem with your top thread. You always want to be able to have the perfect line, and you don't want to have to do work twice. And so the way to do that is to run these first through the machine, just to show that everything is right, your tensions are all right, nothing's out of place. So let's try that first. Mine has an auto cut feature. And that looks good to me. So that's great. So now we can start getting this binding put together. So the fabric that I'm using today is a solid fabric, so there are no right and wrong sides to it. If you were using a patterned fabric for your binding, or any type of sewing that you're doing, the norm is to have right sides together and then sew. This doesn't matter because it's the same on both sides. I don't even need to use, my needles come unthreaded. I don't even need to use a 1/4 inch on this because it's binding, so you actually quite like to have that as a standard. So you normally like to have a binding a little bit wider than the normal standard 1/4 inch seam on that. So I'm going to do mine at 1/2 inch, which will mean that it runs along the very edge of the machine here, so on this side. I'm also going to change my stitch length from the 2 that I had it planned on down to 1.5, and the reason for that is because I like mine to be as tight as possible. I don't want it coming undone or anything. It gets a lot of use, the binding on the very edge of a quilt, so I want it perfect. Also, I should note that I do my binding at 2 1/4, and most people will do theirs at 2 1/2. I like mine a little bit smaller, so that's why I run it at 2 1/4, so it makes it all nice and tight around the edge, and I don't have any overlap, which can happen even with that little 1/4 inch. It can really make a difference. So yeah, so that's what I'm running at. So let's get this binding sewed up, making sure that everything is straight. Now I'm going to take the next piece and again take the end of my piece, which is on top here. This is the end of it, and I'm going to run them so they run together in a batch, rather than doing stopping and starting, stopping and starting. So let's put that. Again, it would be right sides together if you were using a patterned fabric, and I'm not, so I'm not going to do that. And I'm just going to go and feed that straight through. And actually increase my speed a little bit. On my machine I have a speed gauge, so I can increase the speed on here, so meaning that I can put my foot right down on the pedal and it's not going to go any faster than what the speed is set to on the machine. So, and that works for me because I'm heavy-handed and heavy-footed. So okay. That's better. Okay, again, turn that over so the right side is up. And then next one on to the edge. easier to batch them like this. It's quicker. And oh, it's my iron telling me it's bored. So yeah, it's a speedier process to do it like this, because then you just have to chop them. You also don't waste as much thread. Not that this machine wastes a lot of thread anyway, it cuts the threads itself and quite short, so there's no pulling it out and hooking it on. It's quite short here. So as you can see, hopefully you can see, that's really, really, oh, can you see? Come on, focus, there it is. Really tight stitches on that. Very, very small. I mean, you can still get a seam ripper through it if you needed to, but I like it tight on mine because of the amount of use that it gets, so it's nice and neat there as well. So now let's get some ironing done. So ironing is a pretty important part of sewing in general, but definitely in quilting. So I always like to set my seams. So I have the seam from the that I've just done for the binding for the elephant parade quilt, and so I just set the seam like that, as simple as that, and then I just go through, and I normally set all of them because I've just made this long stream of fabric, and I just set them all first of all, and then once I've set them, I then go back and iron them to make that binding the right size. It's a little bit tedious. You don't have to do it this way. I do it this way because I don't want to forget, and I like to have them set just, it makes it all nice and straight. And then, how long is this piece of fabric? One set. Also means you can get to the very end of the fabric, like I have here. And now with your seam facing up, I will straighten and fold down, and that is how you make your binding. It's quite straightforward. It's just practice and not rushing. It's very easy to rush to finish things because you're so desperate to get it done, but it's best not to. It's best to take your time, get it done right, and it's nice to have straight, pretty lines to work with. Right, so I've finished the binding. Binding is made, ready to go on the quilt. Now, everybody that quilts does their binding different. For me, I like to prep it so I know that I don't have a seam of my binding, which, you know, because it's bulky. A seam of my binding I don't want on a corner. And the reason you don't want it on a corner is, I mean, you can do it on a corner. It's not gonna, you know, cause major issues, but for me, I prefer not to, because it makes it so much bulk in that corner. So I like to have a nice, easy ride when putting on. So I take that time to put it into position where I don't have to deal with the seam in a corner. So I tweak it as much as I can to make sure that I can sort of get it in the rough place. If you're any good at maths, you can sort of work it out anyway where you need to place it to be able to get it to, it sort of ensure you don't get it on a corner. But this is over 200 inches of fabric now, so I'm going to start clipping it on to the quilt and hopefully not get any of my seams on any of the corners, and hopefully get it done pretty quickly. So let's see how we get on. So with the binding, you want to do the raw edge, so not the folded edge, the raw edge on the edge of your quilt. You want to leave a tail on the edge, and the reason for that is because when you get round to the end, you need to be able to put them both together. And if you leave too short it's very easy to do, but if you leave too short a tail, you can really struggle when you're trying to put those two pieces of fabric together. So always plan to have as longish a tail as you can, not excessively long. I mean, this is probably how long as that I will leave it, which is, how long is that? Oh God. Let's have a look. About 10 inches. I mean, it's not huge, but it's enough, hopefully, to give me some space to maneuver. So, yeah, so you pull everything up to the edge. You put your binding right on the edge. And then for me, I just clip. And then I just clip. It doesn't have to be all the way round, just part of the way round. Just so it's in the right position, because it's going to move anyway. It's not going to be perfectly in position, but it's just to work out whether or not you have any of those seams on a corner, and the aim is not to have any seams on a corner. So let's see how we get on with this, shall we? So I've made it all the way around and not one on a corner, so that's good. I've got some extra, as happens. I always put an extra one on just in case. So yes, so I've got enough to go round, so I need to start sewing it on. So I think I'm going to start doing that now. I wasn't going to today. My plan was not to do this today. I don't know why. I actually really enjoy binding. A lot of people don't. It's the bit that they hate the most, but for me, I enjoy it. I know you're literally sewing the same piece of fabric twice, but I enjoy it because it's finishing this quilt. It's done then. I'm done with it. I wash it afterwards. Lots of colour catches, always lots of colour catches just in case. And yeah, and then I'm done with it, and that's the best feeling because it's done. So yeah, so I think I'm going to start cracking on with sewing these last little bits up, and yeah, so see how we go. In fact, let's not start sewing, because it's just occurred to me I've put it on the wrong side of the quilt. I machine sew my binding on front and back, so I don't hand sew it. If I'm selling something, what is the point in me spending hours upon hours? I've already spent hours and hours and hours on this to make this quilt, so to hand sew the binding down is just not going to happen. So I've just put all this on this this quilt on the front, and actually it should be clipped so I can sew straight away via the back. So I'm gonna swap it round. I'll do that for camera. You don't need to see all that again. The principle is the same thing. It's exactly the same, so it's just moving it from one side to the other. So I'm going to do that now. And then I'll sew it on. Oh, what a mistake I did make. So I'm just adding the binding now to the front of the quilt. It's going to take a while because I use an even smaller stitch, 1.2, which is very small, because I like it to see it hidden, really. And it's going to take me a long time. I have it on a really slow speed so I can just get things done just right. It's important to get it just right, so I shall crack on. I don't know when I'll be finished, but hopefully at some point today. Done. Yay! Hi, so it's Thursday, the next day. I've just, I finished the elephant quilt yesterday, did the binding. I didn't do any of the other things that I planned on doing this week, and today and tomorrow is going to be a little bit of a wipeout for me, so as my little dog is having an op on his mouth today, so hopefully all will be well. So yeah, so I'm not really doing very much today apart from cutting out some felt to make some of my emotional support hearts. So other than that, that's all I'm doing. But did you want to see the quilt? Of course you did. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, it's, yeah, it's just so pretty. So yeah, hold on one second and I will grab it for you. So here it is. It's so cute. Hopefully you can see it all. Yeah, it's so pretty. I love it. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. I hope you like it too. So that's it from me. It's all finished on this quilt, thankfully. So I'm going to start doing the fabric for the Wiener quilt. I'm not sure what else I'm going to do, but this is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You know, feel free to comment and subscribe and all that jazz. In fact, do you see my thumbnails? I'd really like to know. They normally have a gingham background, so I'd be really pleased to know about that, because I'm having real trouble with setting those on YouTube for whatever reason. So if you can let me know if you see an actual thumbnail or whether it's just a picture of my mug. But thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again soon.